Lawmakers on Capitol Hill continue to raise concerns about the overprescribing of drugs at the VA Medical Center in Tomah. That facility was the focus of a 2-hour Senate hearing on Capitol Hill today. The senator leading the hearing called VA's system of prescribing narcotics, quote, abysmally inaccurate. VA officials say the agency launched a computer program to better track prescriptions across the VA system, but they're running into problems. A congressional hearing will take place in Tomah on Monday. Tonight, ahead of that hearing, the family of a Marine who died of an overdose at the VA in Tomah want their story heard to help other veterans. You'll also hear how a federal investigation completed months before his death could have saved that Marine's life. Tonight, Fox 11 investigates, uncovering why problems still remain at the facility today. Do you blame the VA for his death?
Yes, I do. I mean, obviously, if they would have done things differently and not overmedded them, and learned to say no.
Marv and Linda Simcakoski of Stevens Point continue to mourn their son Jason, who at the age of 35 died while in inpatient care at the Veterans Affairs Medical Center in Tomah. Jason served 4.5 years in the Marines, enlisting after high school. He was being treated at Tomah for an addiction to one pain medication. An autopsy revealed he had 14 different prescribed drugs in his system, some above recommended treatment levels. The medical examiner ruled Jason died of mixed drug toxicity. Fox 11 investigates traveled to Tomah for answers. We caught up with U.S. Deputy Secretary of Veterans Affairs Sloan Gibson and Dr. Gavin West, the head of the VA's National Opioid Safety Initiative. Both are monitoring several investigations looking into the overprescribing of drugs to veterans at Tomah. Should somebody be on that many prescriptions?
Well, I mean, every individual veteran's case is exactly that, an individual veteran's case.
While West skirted our question, Deputy Secretary Gibson was more to the point.
Gavin has given you the well-considered, measured clinician's answer. I'm going to tell you, I think we are too quick to prescribe pills.
A troubling reality for Marv and Linda Simcakoski.
We trusted them, we just felt they know what they're doing. They must know what they're doing. This is all new to us. We have to trust that they're doctors. And it just, now looking back, it's sad.
They don't really know what all these different combinations can do. And when you throw that many different meds together, who knows what they're going to do.
The case of Jason Simcakoski wasn't the start of the alleged overprescribing problems at Tomah. Complaints dating back to 2011 prompted an Office of the Inspector General investigation that would take until mid-March of last year to complete. The report highlights how medical practitioners at Tomah were among the most prolific prescribers of opiates, pain medication, in a multi-state region. Morphine given to individual patients was higher at Tomah, for example, than other VA facilities in Wisconsin, Upper Michigan, and the Chicago area. The report found no evidence of criminal wrongdoing, but it did raise serious concerns about the overprescribing of medications. Officials here in Tomah were alerted to what's in the report, but the VA in Washington never got a copy, and it was never made public. That's normal? You don't normally receive reports like that?
When the IG publishes a report, we receive it. They chose under this circumstance, because of what they concluded to be inconclusive findings, that it was appropriate not to release the report. I would look at that with all the clarity of hindsight and say that was not well advised.
Deputy Secretary Gibson only became aware of the problems when a media investigation revealed the Inspector General's report. That report also highlights employees' fears of retaliation if they question the, quote, controlled substance prescription practices, although the report did not substantiate any allegations of retaliation. And still, after meeting with employees and patients in Tomah earlier this month, Gibson acknowledges problems remain.
I would say we have two crises at Tomah. One crisis has to do with care quality and patient safety. The second crisis that I think we have here in Tomah is a crisis that has to do with frontline employees having a fear of retaliation.
One employee who did speak out is Ryan Honnell, a 10-year veteran who was hired by the VA last August as a secretary. Within weeks, he filed a whistleblower complaint that included allegations related to overprescribing drugs to veterans. The VA in Tomah, he says, was referred to by some who work there as Candyland.
I had heard, the term Candyland and Candyman, and I was the first one to publicly come out and burn the bridges and just say, hey, come what may. And so I had lots of people coming to me, talking about their patients being zombified, about, patients that were too doped up to counsel for the counselors.
Honnold, trying to get action, contacted the offices of Senators Tammy Baldwin and Ron Johnson, as well as Congressman Ron Kind last September.
I heard from Ron Johnson almost immediately, but I had heard nothing from Senator Baldwin or Congressman Kind.
Honnold resigned his job feeling pressure from speaking out, but he continued to reach out to the legislators and made contact with all three. Fox 11 has learned Baldwin was the only lawmaker whose office had received a copy of the unreleased report the previous month. Continued pressure by Honnold to spur action by the legislators ultimately went unanswered until the media made the report public in January of this year.
To bring it back to Wisconsin, Johnson, Baldwin, Kind all failed.
Since then, both senators admit mistakes were made. Senator Baldwin says there were mistakes in judgment, communication, and opportunity to move more swiftly on the Tomah case. Senator Johnson admits not enough was done initially since he didn't have the report, but he says they're actively working now to take action.
We've used our committee staff now to conduct our own investigation in terms of what went wrong, who knew what, how long this problem has been known.
Both senators, as members of the Senate Homeland and Government Affairs Committee, have co-sponsored an amendment to require the Inspector General to make public its reports in a timely manner, in addition to being forwarded to the appropriate Congressional Oversight Committee.
The fact that the VA leadership in Washington was apparently unaware of problems at the facility at Tomah it's just simply unacceptable, and it calls out for congressional action.
The measure now goes to the full Senate for consideration. The Simcakoskis hold no ill will toward the legislators. They are pleased progress is now being made.
There can be a lot of finger pointing, but let's just get back to what the whole problem is here, not get into that, and just get back to helping out the veterans at the VA.
Yeah.
But any action comes too late for Jason Simcakoski. His death at the Tomah VA Medical Center is now under investigation by federal officials.
What's really startling is the fact that he overdosed in their care, and that was 5.5 months after they finished the Inspector General report saying they're prescribing too many drugs at the VA.
Right. And that just tells you that someone's not doing their job there, because that should have not been overlooked. Something should have been done way back in 2012, and that's the problem. It seems like nobody wants to do anything. Everybody talks, but nothing ever happens. And if that wouldn't have got tabled and put aside, my son may be alive today.
Senators Baldwin and Johnson will be among the congressional members taking part in a hearing at the VA in Tomah next Monday. They want to hear for themselves about the problems at Tomah from the veterans' families and those working at the facility. Senator Johnson tells me someone needs to be held accountable. I will be in Tomah on Monday and bring you an update.